Average Woodsman here, back with another video. So I want to start a new series on like my top 5 favorite current items from a specific category, like what I'm using right now and why. So today I'm going to start out with blades, some of my favorite blades that I'm using right now, and I'm going to have, I know you guys see 6, but I'm going to have a wild card for each one of these, like my top 5 favorite, and this is one that maybe I got recently and I'm using a lot, but it's not my top 5 yet, but I'm throwing it in there because it's really interesting, or I'm using it a lot right now, um, but it's not quite there yet. So I'm going to get into it. All right, so I'm going to start off with the folding knives, or pocket knives that I use the most, or I have been using the most. I'm sure you guys have seen this one before. I've had this Swiss Army knife Outrider for quite some time. It's really between this knife, this Swiss Army knife, and the one-handed Trekker are my two favorite SAKs that I've ever owned, and they get used the most. This one I have kind of gravitated towards most because of the length of the locking blade, and it has scissors, which I use a lot. So I've kind of, you know, gravitated more towards this blade. I just have a lanyard on it with a Fox 40 whistle, and this is like a Tops like a lanyard type ferro rod. I got it free with something that I purchased a while back, and I figured it would go good on here, so I just went ahead and threw it on here. This way I have a way to signal, you know, audibly, and I have a way to make fire, plus I have a cutting tool all in my pocket at once. So, I just went ahead and threw it on there. Next one is the Cold Steel. This is the Ultimate Hunter. This thing has been beat up. I use it every single day. It goes with me at work and around town. It's S35 VN. It's American S35 VN. Now the knife is actually made in Taiwan, but I really like it. It's actually relatively lightweight for being such a beefy, heavy-duty knife, folding knife. And I mean, it has the triad lock, which anyone who knows anything about folding lock mechanisms, you know that the Cold Steel Triad lock is, I mean, legendary for its strength. But it's one of my favorite, probably my favorite pocket knife that I own. Even though I have some ones that are a lot more expensive, this thing is well under $100, and or it was when I bought it. I'm not sure what it is now, but it's it has a pretty smooth action, especially for the Triad lock. Triad lock is not the smoothest, but it's probably the strongest. Anyway, but this is like one of my favorite blades, favorite EDC blades, and I use it all the time. It's I really like the orange G10 handle scales too. But and also the pocket clip on this is excellent. I've never had to tighten it down from it getting loose, and it rides really, really, really good in the pocket. Next, we're getting into the fixed blades. This is the fixed blade that I've probably had the longest. I've had this thing, I mean, I'm not even sure how many years at this point. Um, just to date this specific knife, this is not the sheath that came with it. The original Bravo sheath came with this. I actually bought this online. I think I want to say I bought it on eBay, and have just, I mean, beat it up, used it, have been using it. I still in my rotation after all these years of having it. I still use it all the time, honestly. It's one of my favorite knives to still go to. Thick, it's not quite a 1/4 inch, but it's thicker than a 3/16. I want to say it's like, I can't remember exactly the thickness of it, but it's a thick, heavy-duty blade. A sharp 90-degree spine on it. Uses a convex, and it slices really well. I've actually used this to process a couple of hogs, wild hogs that I got, that I shot when hunting, and I've also used this to process a buck that I got maybe 2 or 3 seasons ago, maybe 3 seasons ago. I can't remember exactly when it was. It was when I first came back to Florida, so maybe about 2 years ago. Anyway, I use it all. I like I said, I use this all the time, and the Bravo. I think the Bravo handle is probably my favorite handle of any knife I've ever held. But got a lot of these little black ants everywhere. Anyway, but the sheath is awesome. I actually like this sheath better than the original sheath that came on with the Bravos. But anyway, so the next one is the LT Wright. This is the Woodsman Pro 2.0. I mean, A2 tool steel similar to this. This is also A2. A2 is one of my favorite tool steels. This one's a lot thinner. This one's an eighth of an inch, but the handle's really comfortable. Uses a Scandi grind. Nice sharp 90-degree spine on it. It's just an awesome knife. As you notice, like between these two knives, they're right around the 4 to 4.25 inch is probably my favorite knife size for a belt knife, honestly. I think it's the best overall size. But this has it's like scalloped right here if you want to hold it, pinch it when you're using it. I mean, there's not really much else to say about it. It's just an awesome knife, just like all LT Wright knives. I've owned a ton of LT Wright knives over the years. GNS, the Genesis I've owned, the Skeleton Key I had. I mean, I've had a bunch of them over the years, but this is my favorite one that I've ever owned. They all come with, you can get a Kydex sheath, but they generally just come with a standard, like bushcraft style sheath, just pouch sheath. Next is my Tops Tanaboka Puko. So this, when I first saw this was like a pretty huge departure from the type of stuff that Tops usually makes. Originally they were more of, the big tactical blades, heavy duty tactical blades that were coated and just not really my thing. I owned a couple of them early on when I started getting really into survival and knives and all that kind of stuff. The one tool option, and I had a couple of them. I want to say I had the Steel Eagle. I think I had the Steel Eagle, and I had the Bob for a while. I've had a bunch of their knives over the years. The Silent Hero. Anyway, the Tanaboka Puko is just awesome. It's a really good knife. The handle is super comfortable. It's pretty small. I want to say it's right around around the 3-inch mark. I don't remember exactly. If you want to look up the specs, that's cool. It has a 9-degree spine. This doesn't actually use a traditional Scandinavian grind, a Scandi grind. It actually uses a Scandivex grind on it, but it has bow drill divots, which I actually have used quite a bit. I like having a bow drill divot on the handle of my knife. I think it's makes it more functional, because if you've ever made fire by friction with a bow drill set, you know that the bearing block is the hardest part. So I actually really like that. I mean, the knife's been used and abused, but it still is holding up really well. I think it's also 1/8 of an inch, and it has like these really cool liners in here that just really make it look really cool. And then the leather sheath, the Tops leather sheaths are awesome. Really heavy duty, thick leather. They have really good stitching, and they have the logo on them. And for my wild card, this is a knife I just recently got a few weeks ago, and I've used it maybe a handful of times now. This is the Brush Wolf by Tops. Also comes with the leather pouch sheath. This one's actually just a dangler though. And so if you've ever watched any of my videos and heard me talk about knives, I'm not the biggest fan of really large belt knives. I've just found that they don't do anything very well, and I personally am not in a situation where I can't carry other tools with me. So I can carry a saw in my backpack, like a folding saw, or I could carry an axe or a machete if I wanted to. So I'm not delegated to one tool. But I figured why not try a large knife again. Like I've had a couple of large knives over the years, probably a handful, and I just never really liked them that much. So when I saw this design about a year ago, I thought it was really, really cool. And they came into stock, and I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it. It's like around 150 bucks or so. And honestly, I'm really liking the knife. The handle is really, really comfortable. It has a 90-degree portion on the spine, and then it has these saw teeth, which, you know, are okay, I guess. They're more for notching. You know, you're not going to be sawing down any trees with this, and that's not what they're intended for. But I could take it or leave them. I would probably prefer just to have the whole spine be 90 degree, but you know, they definitely have some functionality. This one's a little bit thicker than 3/16, and it also has the bow drill divot on it. I mean, the belly on this thing and the blade profile is just awesome. I really, really like it. And just a really, really cool knife that I've been using a lot. I've been taking this out as like my main blade, and it carves really well. It batons really well. You can feather with it. That's why it's so important to have that 90-degree spine. All right, guys. Well, those are just my top five. Well, top five with a with a like a with a. All right, guys. Well, that's my top five. Well, top five with one added. Favorite cutting tools right now, or knives, I should say, more specifically, because I'll do a video on like axes and saws and machetes and stuff like that separately. But those are my top five favorite knives that I'm currently using. And like I said, I'm going to make a series out of this. I'm going to do one with, you know, like backpacks, probably saws and axes. I'm not sure exactly, you know, everything yet. I haven't really gone over it that much in my head or come up with what exactly I'm going to do, but it's going to be a whole series. Eventually I'll go through each one of them, but just like a favorite gear series. Anyway, I'll catch you guys on the next one.